Hey, Sully, how are you today?
We're struggling, man. We got about 10 turnovers. We're missing our foul shots. We need you to come off the bench and clean things up here.
Oh, my goodness, Sully. You've been doing this for far too long to not have brought your A game. It's championship weekend here in the region, and you're not stepping up.
Maybe I can salvage myself in the third and fourth quarters here.
There you go. It doesn't matter who's on the floor to start the game. It matters who's on the floor to end the game.
Everybody has an off night shooting. I'm like 3 for 13 from the floor right now. But
all right, you remember?
Shooters got to shoot.
Times? I'll tell you. Do you remember Bobby Jones?
Bobby Jones,
sixth man for the Sixers.
I remember Burt Jones.
Oh my goodness, Sully! You don't know who Bobby Jones is? Bobby Jones is one of the greatest six men in Sixers history.
Okay,
and never started, but he was always on the floor in crunch time because it didn't matter who started; it mattered who finished. All right,
you didn't like my Burt Jones reference there? Going back to the '70s Colts.
No, we don't need Burt Jones.
The old Baltimore Colts.
Bobby Jones is. Oh my goodness!
I was never really a big NBA guy growing up, so.
All right, well, what's going on?
I know Clyde Drexler, and that's pretty much it from the. I'm a baseball guy, man. I don't know the old Sixers.
Well, do a little, in your spare time, which you don't have a whole lot of, but take a couple minutes and look up Bobby
research
Jones.
From some early '80s Sixers.
There you go.
So what's happening in your world, high school hoops?
We're getting, today's a cutoff day for the tournament, and I think we are, we're pretty. It's pretty much a done deal, I think, as far as just the seeds, where the power points are going to be, and
right.
And where teams are going to, kind of be at. There's a couple games today that will affect it a little bit, but I think for the most part, things are probably they're pretty solidified right now, and. We're just, gearing up for, what this next month's going to be like.
There's nobody that's really, has to win today to get in, right?
No, I think, maybe at the back end of things, like you said, to get in, I don't have the update, the update in front of me from today, but there may be a team here or there that, squeaks in. Like I said, I don't have that in front of me, so I don't want to put any kind of false information out there, but I think for the most part, obviously, if there are teams playing today that know they need to get in and can, they realize what it's going to take, and they have one last chance to do it. But for the most part, I think we're pretty good.
So, what South Jersey bracket do you think might shake out to be the most interesting, based on who you've been covering?
I think there's a couple brackets that, I think Group 4 is the one that, when you look at it, is there really is no clear-cut favorite. You got Shawnee, defending sectional champion that reached the state final last year. Going to get that. I think I'm pretty certain that they're going to get that one seed again, based on the numbers that we saw yesterday. And and it's always comforting to know that you're not going to have to leave home. Home court advantage in the playoffs is, some people value it more than others, but I think there's a lot to be said for not having to get on a bus, not having to have your fans, your student sections travel, not having to, prepare to leave school, earlier in the day and this, that. When you're home, you have a routine, you know what's going on. It's just another, it's kind of just another day, another game. So, having the comforts of being, that opportunity to play at home is huge, and Shawnee's going to have that. But, in Group 4, Eastern, they're playing pretty well. They struggled a little bit early. They were, they were in games but weren't able to finish games. But I think in the last 2 weeks or so, they've really picked up their game a little bit. You throw in an RV team that's going to kind of probably be I want to say a 5 or a 6 seed, somewhere in that neighborhood, but they've been playing extremely well too, at this point. And, if they can keep that going, who knows what happens. But, Atlanta, even an Atlantic City team, which, looked absolutely fantastic last Saturday, beating Trenton Catholic, but in the last week has struggled, and may have played its worst basketball in this past week. Is a team that, in the next 2 or 3 weeks can flip the switch, and all of a sudden, that's just a distant memory. And now we're playing where we need to be again. So I think 4 is a very open bracket, and really any I want to say 4 or 5 different teams are probably legitimate teams to win a championship.
And Kevin, you mentioned Eastern. They have a unique opportunity here. They're playing St. Augustine Prep tonight at the Battle by the Bay, and they have a chance to knock off the 3 top teams in the Cape Atlantic League, which is a pretty good feat.
That game's going to be, I'm pretty sure that's the late game. So
yeah, that's the 8 o'clock, yep.
We're looking at 8:30 probably for that game.
Yep.
And, if Eastern is at full strength, which I'm not sure they will be because they haven't been for a while, they knocked off Wildwood Catholic last weekend without 3 starters. And of those 3 starters, 1 is the best player on the team, and the other 2 guys are their big men. So, they knocked off a Wildwood Catholic team, that in turn beat the Prep. I know that was a close game, and obviously since then St. Augustine has really kind of turned it on. But this is a very this should be a very entertaining game. And if, like I said, if Eastern is at full strength, and then they can find a way to put together 4 quarters, I wouldn't be surprised if Eastern beat them. But at the same time, Prep was very impressive last week. In the way they beat Atlantic City, they've been Marlon Hargis has absolutely been coming on like a wildfire lately with his play. So I think that's going to be a very, very good game, and one of those games that I think both coaches in the long run will look at and say, that's why we put it on the schedule. That's the kind of game we need because they're the type of games we're going to see in the playoffs. So win or lose for either team. I think it'll be a tremendous learning experience. Obviously, no one likes moral victories, but when you look at the big picture, a game that will definitely help both teams, in these upcoming weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned the Prep; they're really playing well ever since Coach Rodeo got that 900th win, and I gotta believe the next day he really took it to them in practice because they didn't look very good at all against Egg Harbor Township, even though they won that game. But I think he kind of got them a little bit refocused, like, okay, now we can get past this 900 win chase kind of thing and really get down to playing Prep basketball again. And you mentioned Marlon; he's having a tremendous season, and we all saw that coming. He had a great junior year, and really was probably a little bit underrated based on the teammates he had with Mutz and Kennedy, but really one of the best players in the Cape Atlantic League.
Without a doubt, and I think like you said, and even Coach Rodeo had mentioned it after his game against Atlantic City that Marlon has always been a very good player. He's just kind of been in the shadows of older teammates that are also very good players. And this particular year now, all those guys are gone, and it's time. This was the time for Marlon to kind of be the man on the team, and. Obviously, I think in this last week he has elevated his game. He's not that he hasn't been a leader throughout the season, but maybe now is the time where, we look at the schedule, we look at where we're at, we look at what's coming up in the next couple of weeks, and realize this is my senior year. I really want to impress. I'm still not solidified with a college decision. So this is the kind of year where you look at teams and you look at who the kids are that rise to the occasion and really kind of, lead their teams and kind of put them on their back a little bit. And they're the kind of kids you want to see really succeed. And Marlon Hargis is obviously one of those kids right now.
I tell you what, man, if I'm a college coach, I'm taking a long look at this kid because that's the kind of kid you want in your college program, man. A guy who's a great student, great teammate, going to grind, going to do whatever it takes to win. I mean, that's if you're a guy like Coach Bittner over there at Stockton, I'd be calling him every day. You know what I mean? Hey, just check it in,
Yeah, he's going to – I think he's definitely, I'm certain that he's on the radar of a lot of coaches already.
Sure.
But I think what he's done recently, will widen that spectrum a little bit.
Who else should we be looking at, the last couple of weeks in terms of outstanding players to keep an eye on as we get into some of these league and state tournaments? who's really caught your eye as somebody to say, hey, this is a guy worth the couple dollars it might cost to get into a high school game?
I think one kid who kind of falls into that realm, and I'd really like to see something happen is Maurice Murray at Timber Creek. Here's a kid with a couple college offers and really a very talented player, and kind of, he's been that good for the last couple of years, but I don't think he really has broke out yet. And if Timber Creek is the team to win a Group 3 title, and I think is a team that could potentially get to a Group 3 state final, he's going to have to be the one to lead the way. And I'd really like to see him, not that, like kind of almost to the degree Mike McGarry was saying, about Kylie Watson. If you're the best player on your team, you're the one that's ultimately probably should be taking the most shots. When you look at the box score, will probably be the leading scorer.
Right.
Will be the one that wants the ball and will be the one that gets the ball at the most important times. And I think even though it takes 5 to win a game, this is the point in Maurice Murray's career at Timber Creek that he kind of needs to be in that same realm that Kylie's in at Mainland. And if, like I said, if Timber Creek is to win a state championship, he's going to have to be the guy to kind of lead the way. And I know they spread the ball around a little bit. I know that they get a lot of guys involved. But at this point, to win a state championship, you need someone to lean on. And I think he's the guy right now, really for me, out of a lot of different kids in South Jersey, he's the guy I want to see, put that team on his back and say, okay, guys, you follow me, and we're gonna go to Rutgers and we're gonna win a championship. So, to answer that question, Maurice Murray is the guy for me that I'd really want to see step up his game and be the topic of conversation when it comes to Timber Creek and Group 3.
I think another guy, Kevin, and we're talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. Kevin, another guy that kind of fits that same mold. Now, I don't know if their team is strong enough to compete for a state championship. Obviously, they're a playoff team. But Rynell Lawrence down at Millville, this kid can really put the ball in the basket when he's on, and that's a guy who could be a real difference maker in not only the Cal tournament but state playoffs as well.
Yeah, they've had a really nice season so far, and obviously he's the playmaker. He's the guy that dictates a lot of what's going on, and like I said, Group 4 is kind of wide open, and if you can, he gets hot one game and you can knock off a higher seed and then kind of jungle things up a little bit, maybe Millville does make a run. But the thing with him is he's only a junior, and he's going to get better, and he's got some teammates around him that are decent players. So there's no excuse as to why he can't be the man for them, and see how far it goes. But they're going to get at least the first round game at home. And, they need to take advantage of that opportunity, and then, we'll see what happens down the road. But, that's a kid and a team that, when you look at the whole field, especially in 4, can put a monkey wrench into everything. And, who knows what happens, when you're hot one night and, for whatever reason, the other team doesn't bring their A game.
Good stuff, as always, Kevin. We appreciate the time, and we'll dive more into these brackets a little bit next weekend as we get closer and closer to the state playoff time.
Absolutely. The seeding meeting, I believe, is set for Thursday, so I believe the brackets will be out sometime Thursday morning, maybe Thursday afternoon. I'm not sure what time the meeting is, but it's generally in the morning. So by next Saturday, we'll have every field laid out, and if that's what you want to bring to the table next week, we will be ready. Plenty to talk about next weekend, buddy. Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Kevin. And I'm letting you know again this week, negativity doesn't come into it. The Eagles, for the third straight week, I will tell you that the Eagles are going to win. Yes. You heard it here. You heard it here on the South Jersey Sports Report. And you know what? It may not be as close as you think it's going to be. Oh, strong take. There you go. That's a hot take from Minnick. We like it. There you go. So by like 13, you thinking? Let's put it this way: 13 at least. I think people. You're thinking like a 34-20 type of thing. I'm saying that people continue They have continued to doubt what the Eagles are capable of doing. And I'm not going to argue with anybody, but the Eagles are in the Super Bowl for a reason. They have won a lot of games for a reason. And I don't care how good Tom Brady is. I don't care about how good Bill Belichick is. The Patriots can be beaten. And I think this is the time that the Eagles, the negativity finally ends. I'll leave it at that. People can say I'm naive about the Patriots and I don't know anything about Tom Brady or this and that. That's fine. I think, Hall of Famers, that's great. But I think, I don't know. I just got this overhyped feeling about the Patriots, and I think the Eagles are going to take care of business.
That's a strong finish, buddy. We appreciate it, man.
All right. We'll talk to you next weekend.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. Always enjoy his take. That's a strong finish by him, man.